So we have worked in the same place, but not at the same time. In fact, we've worked in a few places, but not at the same time. But from the high secure hospital that we worked at, you obviously aren't in Australia now, but you wrote a paper from that time.
Mhm.
I have the title here. It is quite a long
Incredibly
title, so
long.
I've
Yeah.
written it down like all good papers should be. Creating space for meaning, exploring emotional integration through psychodynamic art therapy in forensic mental health.
Yep.
Tell us about it.
Okay. So as you and I are so familiar with, the art therapist's role at the forensic hospital is a sole clinician role. And so I guess the paper kind of came about because there's just so little research in the area of forensic psychiatry, well, art therapy and forensic psychiatry. And it's about sort of making the voice of art therapy heard in a place where there doesn't always feel like there's a lot of space for art therapy, just because it's like, this tiny, tiny little discipline in these big sort of complex systems or hospitals. And so I guess through trying to find papers to read in forensic psychiatry in art therapy and not sort of finding more than maybe 5 or 6, I decided that it was time to write a case study, and I had the perfect patient in mind. And I guess the reason I picked him was because it was a really significant client. It was a really significant body of work. We worked together for actually around 5 years, but I picked at that time it'd been around 18 months. I guess the paper touches on, it sort of follows Sebastian, which is his pseudonym, through his journey through art therapy and his sort of own self-discovery, and also, I guess, being at that point a more junior art therapist, me coming to terms with what that actually meant and coping with a lot of the themes he expressed, given it's forensic psychiatry, themes of homicide, themes of, mistrust, themes of surveillance, themes of psychosis. And so it was almost like we were both there, sort of like through that journey, finding our voice and finding what it meant to be in the roles we were in, I guess, and touching on how art therapy can be like a cornerstone in treatment for someone in a facility like that.
And I think that's why a lot of the time art therapy does work. Like when you have a mental health illness, I think even from depression to something, or to like really acute depression or psychosis or whatever level it might be, there's such a fear of being judged. If you can sit by that person, so art therapists, just for people who aren't art therapists, we don't, if you draw a certain symbol, we don't say that symbol means this. We might think the way there might be really pressing on the page that could indicate this or that, but we never kind of like judge because everyone has a different symbolic language. For instance, I could wear a cross necklace, and a lot of people might see that as a very religious necklace, but for me it might be like my grandmother passed it down to my mum and my mum passed it down to me, so it holds this symbolic nature of like motherhood or women in my family, for example. So if I drew that cross in the necklace, you might think, oh, that's a really religious symbol, but it might have like these bigger,
Yeah.
other deeper connotations.
True.
And I think, when we can sit next to someone and we can just let them reveal their symbolic language without judging that, like, are you using black? That might not be a scary color. Then it lets them reveal more and more. And so many people, for that trust to start and open up, is kind of can be the real turning point.
I like fall in the water metaphor. I can really, it's like palpable. Yeah. Yeah.